Uh, I think pleasant morning in Mumbai, and I hear in other cities also it's present cyclone is out of the way. It caused devastation, but I think we are out of that pain, I should say. But pain of our business, which is food service, be it food service at mass scale, be it food service at retail, be it food service in hospital, be it food service in industrial outfits, schools, wherever. Though the voice of food service business largely is occupied by food service retail, primarily restaurants and bars. And that also is a large generator of business, large generator of employment. Hence, it's very, very important. And these have been turbulent times. But would they remain like this forever? What would happen? How quickly would it go away? What has been the behavioral change over last few months? Is it temporary? Is it permanent? I wish I had a crystal ball. I wish I could have all the answers. I wish I could say this is how it will be. But I think collectively there's a lot of information, a lot of data, a lot of experience that we have to see what can be best for us going forward. There would have been few mistakes we would have made in last few months, but that learning can be collated, collected, and used for our benefit in coming times. But before I get into those details, I know that it's always a challenge as to what is good for you. You are running a business and it's doing really well, and suddenly you are hit and people cannot come to you. You are not allowed to open your restaurant. The only thing that you're allowed is you can deliver your food. Let me tell you a little story. This was about 2 weeks ago. My daughter comes to me and says, "Oh, Dad, I got this SMS, and it is from a very fancy restaurant, and they are giving meals for 1,200 rupees per person." Now, remember, this is a fancy restaurant. It's a very fancy restaurant. They have restaurants all over India, and 1,200 seemed like a good price, and it is kind of 5 course meal which you could order. You could order a soup, snacks, main, dessert, everything, and it's something that was available. And says, "Let's order from here." There was a smile on my face because I remember this restaurant going public that no, we do not deliver food. Our food is not good enough if you get it packed, and so we would not deliver. And that was a few years ago. But now the situation has changed. We understand, fine. And we agreed that let's order from that place. There are 4 of us. We looked at the menu, we looked at the price, and we realized that we are not big eaters. So if we order for 3 portions each, 3 portions in all, it should feed 4 of us. And it was a calculated guess. We said, okay, we can share and we can have. And that's how you normally would think. Anyway, we started to order, and there was that this offer was only available if you ordered directly. Again, very fair that this is a good offer and it's only available through our website. Fine. We did that. And as we started to order, we realized that the website was not really optimized for iPad. Anyway, we had to shift to a laptop, place the order, and you could choose what time did you want your order. So we chose 8:30 in the evening, and the order that we placed was at around 2 o'clock for 8:30 delivery. All done, payment made, price, there was additional tax on it, fine, all good, all done, payment made. And at 5 o'clock, the bell rings and we get our food. And we're thinking we placed the order for 8:30. And we called them up and we said, you know what? Oh, so sorry. We didn't realize it's a mistake. Sorry, they were apologetic. Fair enough. We said, fine. Mistakes happen. And in the evening, we eat the food and we have that. And now, as Ritu was saying earlier, It's now remember, it's a fancy restaurant, very good food, good clientele, all of that. But the experience that we had from food, quality, appearance, all of taste was below par. Portions were small. I don't think we would ever order from that restaurant as delivery. I don't even know whether we would go back there because our experience has been bad on product itself. Now, that means that while restaurants can do their job really well when people come to them at restaurants, but when it is delivery, can they compete? They can, but do they? Maybe not. Now, why did I share this story? Now, one is that we are looking at opportunities of going beyond the normal. We are trying to survive. We are trying to make sure that we were doing business on one channel, and now we have to go on to multiple channels. Is that fair? Yes, it is very fair. It is something that you have to do. You have to learn to survive, and whatever comes your way, you do that. You shoot from the hip, because that's how business is done. And that's the nature of any business. Uncertainty is business. And that's what you learn to deal with. And I remember when I first started Wonder Chef, we were only looking at a business where we would sell products through kind of multi-level marketing, the way Tupperware was doing. But in about 3 months, we realized we were going nowhere. And we started selling on through TV. We started wherever we could sell, we started to sell. And I remember meeting MD of Tupperware on a flight, and she says, no, stick to it. Do not sell it in retail. It is definite death. But we had no choice. Just for our survival, we were trying to sell it everywhere. And this was much before omni-channel became famous. But for our survival, we tried to do that. And we have survived to tell a tale. Now it's a large company, and we take pride in our omni-channel strategy. So all businesses learn to survive. Some survive, some don't survive, and you have to do many things right. Now, is delivery the only thing? Is for restaurants survival, is that something that only that would help? I think what we have to realize is that there are certain times in our lives where problems come in, and they mostly are temporary in nature. Now, the temporary in this case has been prolonged to an extent that survival is at risk. Now, I understand that. Having said that, I think we talk about new and normal. There are few things, there are few behavioral changes that have happened. But has behavior changed completely? Maybe not. Few things change, few things don't change at all. So, few things, what are the changes that have happened? I can tell you that for a restaurant industry, food retail especially, and I'm not talking of large chains, I'm not talking, but there's a large chunk of single-owned restaurants, maybe multiple restaurants, who were dependent on making their living, not only through the margins that would make, but they would they would actually save on taxes. How would they do that? So they do 100 rupee sale in a day, and at the night they would cancel many bills. And this is reality in India. This is something that food retail in India people would do. Now that would get stopped. There is a behavioral change where payment in cash is come down dramatically, drastically. So it will continue. Have tastes of people change? Some bit has changed. Some bit has changed. To what extent? Health has become important. Talk of health has become important. That will stay. But does that mean that taste has taken a backseat? No, taste still remains paramount. No matter where you sell your food, whether through a restaurant, delivery model, dark kitchen, no matter what, that is still paramount. That is still a key decision factor. Now, when we talk about health, there is an opportunity which was available, which is available, and you would see mushrooming of maybe a ice cream with chawanprash. So it's not only about turmeric latte, right? It is ice cream with the chawanprash also. But these are temporary, opportunistic things that people will do, and but would they stay test of time? Maybe not. So what we have to understand, realize that things that we are seeing, the time that we are seeing, there would be few behavioral changes, but not everything would change. So we have to keep in mind that we don't shift our model too much. And this is for existing restaurants. I know the whole thing is about dark kitchens and all of that. We'll come to that. But before that, if we are trying to extend into delivery model and using the existing restaurant as the kitchen for that, it's no point changing everything, because turbulent times, when you take a flight, turbulence does not stay forever, and you cannot predict how long it would be. Some flights that I've taken, whole flight is turbulent. Sometimes there is no turbulence at all. So we have to say that this will not stay forever. This will come to an end. And that's why let's focus on all the behavioral changes which will stay. So one of the things that has definitely changed is the way we reach out to customers in their mind. How do we influence their mind? So in restaurant, it was through the experience that we could do. The marketing of so we would always say that, we always thought that product is your biggest marketing. Yes, but before you can reach your product, you have to occupy space in the mind of the consumer. How do you do that? That has changed. The digitization, the digital consumption has changed that. The social media consumption has changed that. Now, that intervention is something that, whether you are in restaurant, retail business, whether you are in food service business, I think if you want to reach your consumer, if you are in B2B, then also you have to understand who your consumer is. But if you are in B2C business, then you have to understand what is that has changed, behavior change that has happened, because that will stay. That will not come back to normal. So it is, if you were putting ads in newspaper for your regional, for your area, for your locality, but in last 1 year, if you have changed that to Instagram, if you've changed that to Facebook, you have changed that to other platforms digitally, that will stay. And you have to become sharper there. And there is a method in that madness. It is not difficult. It's not only about the money that the aggregators charge. And it's not only limited to Zomato and Swiggy that they charge like that to promote. It's a science that's there. It's a cost that's there. So today, if we sell our products on Amazon, for example, there is a store that we can create on Amazon. There's a money that we can spend on Amazon to promote our product. It's a science. Amazon would share all that data with us. Okay, which are the categories that are doing well? Who's your competitor set? What price point they're doing? What does well? And you decide and strategize your spend based on what you want to achieve, who you want to target, and that's something which is there. But in restaurant category, I hear that in some sense there's a friction that's been there, and that I don't want to comment whether it's right or wrong. I think it's something that will also change. I think there would be something. There will be a middle path that would be carved, and it'll become a win-win for both. Large players always have advantages, and in this case, aggregators have that distinct advantage. But I think that will also change, because business cannot be done in isolation. Nobody can say that, okay, don't do this, don't come on this platform, and they may not say that, oh, we can do without restaurants. It will not happen. That will come together, and I have no doubt in that. So understanding of how do you market, whether through technology, whether understanding of social media, whether understanding of who are the influencers, Who will influence your target customer? So Ritu talked about targeting. I think currently we are only looking at dark kitchen business as value business. But going forward, segmentation will come into play. And it is the right time that in minds of the consumer, where do you want to sit is critical and important, and say, this is who I am, this is my product, and this is the segment that I want to go after. Whether it is value seeking customer, whether it is luxury, whether it's mid market, that is something for you to decide. Marketing will also have to follow that path. It's something that's something which will become critical. And the way you reach customers may not be always only reaching homes. It may not be your from your dark kitchen to home. There could be a place in between, like when we sell our products. Let's say if I have to sell a pan of Wonder Chef, it may not go from our warehouse directly to home. It may go to a distributor. It may go to a stockist. Food also may see that, and there may be opportunities in that. And that's something that one should keep their eyes open. So today in our building about a month ago, I saw Big Basket kept a vending machine, and they're keeping the product. Nobody stops that Big Basket to keep some products which are chilled, because they replace every day. Chilled food from a restaurant could be salad or a pre-packed meal, or could be a meal kit, which they could tie up with a restaurant. Restaurants can do that. And it is something that you are not going to anybody's house. That's a product, it's a packed product, and it is sitting in their chiller in a building. So now there is an interface that's there. Now, how does one read that? That's something. Vending machines, you can have your own, you can have your tie-ups, or they are big players. So big players, your aggregators, are not limited only to Zomato and Swiggy and other players. There will be other grocery retailers. There would be JioMart, there would be Big Basket, which will, all of them will look at getting higher margins. And in minds of all food retailers, restaurants get higher margins. That's why, if you see, why does the biryani do so well? It's convenient, right? It's a great dish, fantastic. But in minds of the consumer, it's a restaurant dish. Now, that is something that is to be understood. There's an arbitrage that's available. If it is a home style dish, the consumer do not pay that higher price. For a restaurant dish, there is already in my mind, I've thought this should cost this much. It's like when you get a Nespresso capsule, and even if in India it costs 60 to 80 rupees, people say, oh, बहुत सस्ता है. Starbucks में तो 150-200 रुपए की coffee मिलती है. It's 2 grams of coffee in that capsule. But in the minds of the consumer, but you would not do that for a Nescafe sachet, which may be 1 to 2 grams. And if it is more than 5 rupees, say, oh my God, it's so expensive. But it's how a consumer thinks. So that understanding, no matter where you sit, which part of your business you are in food, you have to understand how a consumer thinks. You have to understand which segment you want to go after, have that product, have that packaging for that. Now, experience in restaurants, experience at home. What are the elements you can add to experience becomes critical. Packaging is one critical experience. Apple can sell their products without that great packaging they have, right? But they invest in that packaging. That's how a consumer thinks. Now, we may say that we can put that value only on the product, but at the end of the day, consumer is king, user, diner is king. They would not think the way you may think. Their thinking is influenced by many influencers. And today, social media influence is fairly large. So we have to keep that thinking. I know that I can go on, and I have limited time here. But there's a short story I'll tell you. When I was a child, I used to see that during peak summer, and this is in that time I used to live in Delhi, and in peak summer, May, June, and beginning of July, you could not buy paneer. You could not buy hoa. Now, you would say, oh my God, how could this be? India is the largest producer of dairy in the world. We are the largest consumer of dairy in the world. But there were times when I was young, we could see that there was no paneer and khoya and other milk products. Even cheese was not available. Not just not available, it was banned by the government during those periods because the production was low. So production was low, consumption was high, and there was a ban on these value-added products. You would go to a mithai shop, and you would not get khoye ki barfi. You would not get anything with khoya or paneer. But that's a mithai shop. How would that person survive? Now, there were lots of mithais. There was bundi ka laddu, besan ka laddu, all of that. But in mind of the consumer, it is something that मुझे वो बर्फी जैसी चीज चाहिए, मुझे सफेद चाहिए. So what did mithai walas did back then? They looked at an opportunity and started creating mithais out of nuts, kaju katli, badam katli, and these are all more expensive things. Now there's ban on milk products, khoya, paneer, and all of that. There's an opportunity that they saw, and they launched nut mithais. And it's not that that ban was forever. It would open on 15th of July every year. That was a trend. What started to happen after the ban was lifted every year? Did they stop making mithais with the nut? No. Slowly, steadily, the behavior change happened. And now is the day, there is no ban, and we continue to have milk-based, khoya-based mithai also, and we have nut-based mithai also. So there was a crisis. How did the business deal with it? They saw an opportunity. Nut-based mithais were higher priced. Through that crisis, they introduced higher priced medicine, high priced mithai, which could last longer, margins were higher, and it stayed. That was a learning. I think this is the time for learning for all restaurants that this pandemic is not permanent. But what can we do? Is there a high price segmentation that we can create? And can that lead to a behavior change? I think that's the learning, and I'm sure each of us is smart enough to do that. Only thing with the technology I have learned, I've been adopting technology in many new ways. We don't know which way it will go. Best way is to get in early. Best way is to put it foot on the door. So whether it was launching a YouTube channel 12 years ago when people didn't know, and today it's huge, or 3 years ago, getting on with the voice platforms, getting on into machine learning and artificial intelligence in recipe content development and the usage and distribution of that. I started that 3 years ago. It's a foot in the door. Do I make too much money from that intervention? No, I'm investing. So I would say when it comes to technology, do not resist it, put a foot in the door, and tomorrow it will only help you. And this period will not last forever. No matter what you do, it is something which will come back to normal. Few behavioral changes will change, but it will not be something that everything has changed. World has shaken today. It will stop shaking. So do not lose hope. There's a new opportunity that's there, that dark kitchen. How's that new opportunity? What can it do for you? Can it coexist with you? Or it's a new thing that you can do? I'm sure that during the course of the day, there's a lot of learning that's there. But I want to bring that hope. That hope is there, and we will live with that hope. Thank you very much.